Tonight on The Buzz, we are looking at the latest storage and collaboration news from NAB 2018. We start with Thomas Burns, the field CTO for media and entertainment of Dell EMC. Thomas explains the new editorial collaboration technology in their Isilon platform. Next, Matt Mazerolle, the senior product manager for Foundry, introduces a new product called Athera, which supports highly integrated cloud-based collaboration between visual effects artists. Next, Vijay Char, the president of Promise Technology USA, describes their latest storage products for media creators, featuring Atlas, their new shared storage product. Next, Ahin Thomas, VP of Marketing for BackBlaze, explains why backing up your data into the cloud is both safe and sensible, as well as the 4 new products BackBlaze announced at NAB. All this, plus James DeRuvo with our weekly doddleNEWS update. The buzz starts now.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
Uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for the creative content industry, covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. There are so many different companies to cover during NAB that we just can't get to all of them. So tonight, we continue to look at products and companies that were making news during the show. This evening, we're focusing on the intersection of the cloud with collaboration, visual effects, and storage, with some very, very interesting discussions. By the way, before we start, I want to invite you to subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Every issue, every week, provides quick links to the different segments on the show, plus articles of interest to filmmakers. And best of all, it's free and comes out every Saturday morning. And now it's time for our doddleNEWS update with James DeRuvo. Hello, James.
Howdy, Larry.
And howdy, James. So what you got for us this week?
Hey, howdy, hey. The BBC has been around for over 100 years, broadcasting radio and television to the world, and they have opened up their 100-year-old sound effects archive for users to download for free. It's over 16,000 sound effects that have been collected over the last century of radio and television broadcasting. And some of them, like the air raid sound effects, were recorded during actual events like the London Blitz during World War II. So it's like really some amazing stuff. And you can hear a sample of it on our website.
James, why did the BBC do this?
They created this pilot program to open up the archive as a way of giving people who are suffering from dementia a common frame of reference. Research has shown that listening to sounds enables those patients suffering from dementia to remember events in their past. Now with this archive, which is currently in beta, it's now open to anyone. But the trick is you can only use the sound effects for personal or research purposes. Any commercial applications would require licensing of the effects, and that could cost as high as $5,000.
So free for personal use, but we'd have to pay money for a project.
Right.
Okay, that's the BBC. What's next on your list?
Arri has launched their certified pre-owned Alexa camera program. They have an inventory of pre-owned and refurbished Alexa Plus and Alexa Classic EVS for as much as 40% off. The cameras have been refurbished and tested to the same standards as their brand new Alexa models and will come with a certificate of approval.
So what's Arri's thinking behind all this?
Well, investing in a higher-end cinema camera like the Alexa can be a pretty daunting experience. We're talking third mortgage on your house kind of daunting. So the Arri Alexa Certified Pre-Owned program is a great way to get in on that ground floor for as much as 40% off, and that way you're not breaking the bank, Larry.
Okay, so we've got the BBC and now Ari. What's your third big story this week?
Well, this one isn't necessarily a filmmaking story, but it's kind of related. I don't know if anybody out there is a Flickr member. I have a lot of my personal family photographs backed up on Flickr because it comes with a 1 terabyte of free storage space. And I also put some of my video clips on there as well. And SmugMug has bought Flickr for an undisclosed amount of cash. Now, SmugMug says that Flickr and SmugMug will remain separate. Flickr will be the free photo sharing site, while SmugMug will be the pay service. But users must accept SmugMug's term of service or opt out and close their accounts altogether.
Well, give me some history on this.
Yahoo bought SmugMug a year after it was launched in 2005. Then Yahoo fell on hard times, and they got bought by Verizon last year in a deal that also included America Online. There's some doubt by many of us who are on Flickr that the service would survive. The service is popular with over 100 million users, thanks to that 1 terabyte of free storage for both photos and video. But now that SmugMug has taken over the file sharing site, there's some question as to if that 1 terabyte of free storage will remain, or if users will have to pay for it after getting like a small storage size of 5 to 15 gigabytes for free like Google Photos does. Either way, while SmugMug assures users that the free site is going to remain open, the requirement of accepting their terms of service, I don't think it's going to last longer than the end of the year before that free terabyte goes away altogether. And even if it doesn't, users should back up their Flickr account and consider other options before their files get moved over, just in case something goes wrong.
Okay, so that's SmugMug buying Flickr, which is not easy to say, by the way. What other stories are you following this week?
Well, other stories we're following this week include Insta360 gets virtual reality support in Adobe Premiere Pro. We have found 100 filmmaking tips that you can learn in 10 minutes. And can a $16 external microphone really be a good buy for low-budget filmmaking?
Now that is an interesting question, and I'm interested in reading the results. For people that want to learn, where can they go on the web to learn more?
All these stories and more can be found at doddleNEWS.com.
And James DeRuvo is the editor-in-chief of DoddleNEWS and joins us every week. James, thank you, and I'll talk to you next Thursday.
See you next week.
Here's another website I want to introduce you to, doddleNEWS.com. DoddleNEWS gives you a portal into the broadcast, video, and film industries. It's a leading online resource presenting news, reviews, and products for the film and video industry. DoddleNEWS also offers a resource guide and crew management platform specifically designed for production. These digital call sheets, along with their app, directory, and premium listings, provide in-depth organizational tools for busy production professionals. DoddleNEWS is a part of the Thalo Arts community, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with resources you need to succeed. Whether you want the latest industry news, need to network with other creative professionals, or require state-of-the-art online tools to manage your next project, there's only one place to go, doddleNEWS.com. Thomas Burns is Dell EMC's Field Chief Technology Officer for Media and Entertainment. His background is amazing. It includes work at Technicolor developing global file-based workflows, building supercomputers for 3D animated feature films. He designed and built Oxygen Media's storage and networking infrastructure. He's a founding member of the Studio Sysadmin's networking site. He began his career working in Maya at Silicon Graphics. Thomas, I'm depressed just reading your resume. Welcome. Good to have you back.
Thank you, Larry.
We've all heard of Dell. Describe how you see Dell's role in media and entertainment.
It's so interesting being part of the larger Dell Technologies family. There's 7 strategically aligned businesses. We have regular Dell, which is still doing laptops and monitors, and those are very important for the independent filmmakers. I'm part of Dell EMC, which is the Enterprise Servers, Storage, and Networks division. We also own VMware, very important with today's trend towards virtualization, as well as an enterprise cloud provider, VirtuStream, RSA for the little key tokens to get into your VPN, and SecureWorks. So there's a number of strategically aligned businesses, but for the purposes of filmmaking and media and entertainment, it's basically the Isilon shared storage, what we call a NAS or a network attached storage, that has been driving our media and entertainment strategy for, 15 years.
When it comes to shared storage, we're looking at QNAP and we're looking at Synology. Why should someone consider Dell?
All of those small workgroup solutions that you mentioned are great. But the problem with starting with something that won't scale, let's say a producer comes to you and says, I've run out of funding. I need you to keep that all online for a couple of days while I go and get more funding, and then we can keep working. Well, you don't have the money to park an idle project on your storage while somebody goes and figures out how they're going to get to the next phase of production. So a storage such as Isilon that can scale more easily than the products that you mentioned will allow you to take part in these collaborative workflows that are becoming so important. Because, we don't all have all of the staff in our facility when we need them. We're using freelancers. We're using the audio guy over in London and the VFX guy over in Vancouver. And we have to send shots for review down to the studio. Collaboration has truly become global. And that's why a shared storage system that can tier to the cloud and can scale better than any other product on the market is the right choice on the storage side. Now, of course, there's a whole nother world of products and services that filmmakers and content creators need to use as well.
There's two things here that I want to follow up on. One, what does the word scale mean to you? And if a filmmaker runs out of funding, doesn't scale require spending money to be able to scale?
I'm talking from the perspective of a facility owner-operator that's working in editorial and is trying to provide an environment for their creative clients to make, say, an independent episodic or feature project. When you run out of storage on some of these smaller direct attach or network attach products, then what happens is you have to buy another one. And so half your project is on the first device and half your project is on the second device. You're going to spend more time looking for media and copying media from one storage unit to another. Whereas with Isilon, the ability to scale means that if you need more storage, because God bless you, you've got projects lined up out the door, if you need more storage, you simply buy another node, slap it in, and the new storage plus the network plus the CPU plus the capacity is all ready to go in about 20 minutes. No copying files, no having to rebalance files around different workstations. Scale out NAS is the way to go.
We've spent a lot of time talking about object-oriented storage. Are you using similar technology in Isilon?
Object is great, but it's a lot bigger than the kind of independent facility owner-operator might be looking at. Object is where you want to be able to park projects in the cloud, or we can offer you a space on a media-friendly hybrid media cloud, or there are other customers, large post-production houses, for instance, that also offer a private media cloud. And the idea is, you finish a project, you want to park it someplace, such as the cloud, because really, tape is just too awkward. Tape might seem cheap, but it's really awkward. Object storage replacing tape is one of the themes that we saw at NAB this year. And the ability to park a project in the cloud, and then 2 years later, when the producer comes back and says, oh, you remember that thing that we did that time? Can we just look at it? Then you're able to pull that back really smoothly and easily without having to spend a day looking at different indexes on Excel spreadsheets as to what you've put on what Thunderbolt drive where.
But I would argue that if you store media to the cloud, essentially you're renting storage space as long as that media gets stored there. So you've got an ongoing expense for 5 years or 10 or 15.
That's absolutely true.
Whereas with tape, it's a one-time purchase.
Yes.
Is tape really that bad?
It depends. Tape is great if you want to park something on tape and hope that you never have to use it again, a disaster recovery or an off-site archive. If you're starting to read from your tape library as much as you're writing to it, well, then you're really dealing with an active archive, and those are better handled by disk. Object-oriented storage is a very, very efficient way of using a huge amount of disk. But these are for companies that have a global reach, such as the large web scale giants. I call them GAFAM, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. If you just need a little space to put an active archive in, then we can rent you one, or you can own one on site, or there are a number of tape-based solutions that as soon as you fill them up, then you'll find the problem. But for right now, they're a good deal.
Dell was recently at NAB. What are your takeaways from this year's show?
It was such an interesting show this year because the broadcast and the content creation and the media asset management industries are all starting to adopt kind of the infrastructure and the workflow of the data center. Enterprise IT concepts like data center transformation, labor transformation for dealing with freelancers, and certainly security transformation is very, very important. And so these kind of pillars of Dell as an enterprise IT company are starting to become aware and valuable to independent facility owner operators to think, hey, I can virtualize some workstations. I can start to think of a comprehensive approach to security. And most importantly, I can start to get flexible with my labor force by looking for the kinds of virtualization and remote workstation solutions that have been started in the enterprise IT space and are now coming to media and entertainment production.
I know that artificial intelligence is a topic that everyone's talking about now. What are your thoughts on AI?
It's absolutely the most interesting and the most scary and the most accelerated growth technology issue that I've ever seen. And there's huge ramifications when we have AIs combined with the flood of our own personal data exhaust that we're starting to see used and sometimes abused by the web scale giants. Then we have to deal with AI as a completely new type of technological force. But the most interesting thing to me, because I really only care about media and entertainment, the most interesting thing to me is when rights holders have these large libraries, such as a stock footage library or a studio having all of their historical content, that's archived on physical media typically. And you couldn't pay enough interns to watch it and tag it with metadata and catalog it as they transform from physical archives to digital archives. So the ability for AI-assisted scanning and metadata tagging and cataloging of all of these legacy archives means that people with the rights to large libraries of content can now monetize those libraries much easier because they can find what they have. And AI in everything from automated isolation of logos or numbers on a sports player's jersey or things like that, face recognition, all these kinds of AI techniques will help us get tighter and better metadata, which will allow us to use this global amount of media sloshing around the world to our best advantage.
Thomas, for people who want to learn more about the products that Dell offers, where can they go on the web?
Dell EMC is a very big company, so the best way to find the media and entertainment specific part of Dell EMC is just to Google Dell EMC Isilon, and that will get you right to our specialty media and entertainment practice that covers more than just storage. We have everything from displays, workstations, networks, storage, of course, and everything that you need for an end-to-end media and entertainment solution.
I've seen the web link, so we'll keep it simple. Do a Google search for ISILON, Isilon, and you'll learn more about Dell's media and entertainment products. And Thomas Burns is the CTO for Media and Entertainment for Dell EMC. And Thomas, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Larry.
Matt Mazerolle is the Senior Product Manager for Foundry. He's been in the industry for 20 years and is a veteran of video games and visual effects, content creation tools, and cloud technology. His focus is to provide visual effects artists with new tools for creation and collaboration. Hello, Matt. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks very much for having me, Larry.
How would you describe Foundry?
I would describe Foundry as a very innovative player in the space of visual effects, design, and just generally creative software for creative folks.
Now, I don't want to surprise you or alarm you, but there's about 800 million other companies that could use that same definition. What is it that makes Foundry special?
What makes Foundry special, I think, is our close relationship with our customers and really how much more closely we're inspired to the challenges and problems of day-to-day production, especially in the visual effects space.
Well, give me an example. What are some of your key products?
Well, a great example is our hero product, which is called Nuke, which has just been really changing year to year based on feedback from customers. We really have Nuke in just about every major motion picture that you've seen on the big screen. One of the great things that we like about Nuke is that everything we put into it really comes from what people need in order to make that magic. We've won Academy Awards for Nuke, Technical Academy Awards. So that kind of gives us a lot of encouragement to know that we're being recognized for a lot of the hard work we put in to help artists do their job.
I think more than recognized, celebrated is probably the right word. Tonight, we're focusing on what's new and the news that was made at NAB. So what did you announce there?
We announced a brand new product called Athera, which is a platform for artists, especially freelancers and small studios, to collaborate using the technology in the cloud.
Why the focus on the cloud, especially when studios are so worried about piracy and leaked images during production?
It's a great question. It's not really about cloud. Cloud is really kind of an enabler to help bring people together and work in much more flexible ways. When the cloud is used in the right way, it is actually very secure. We all use the cloud every day in ways that are very transparent to us. But absolutely, there are concerns, especially around visual effects and when you're working on big Hollywood movies, about privacy and piracy. But we think, by working really hard on those problems, they're solvable. And the benefits that come with using the cloud to help people work together more efficiently far outweigh some of those challenges.
You've talked about the fact that Athera is a new title, but you haven't described what Athera does. So how would you describe that?
Athera allows people anywhere in the world to build their own studio using infrastructure in the cloud. So if you imagine, you and I would like to work on a project together and form our own studio, we wouldn't need to go and buy a whole bunch of computers and software and, put all those things together in order for us to get started. With Athera, we could just log into the web and build ourselves our own little company, and we can invite people from anywhere and start doing work.
This sounds a great deal like virtualization, like you're virtualizing software and storing it in the cloud.
Yeah, that's absolutely a component of it. We're virtualizing the software, we're virtualizing the workstations, we're virtualizing the storage, we're virtualizing a lot of the aspects of what it takes for people to work together, such as setting permissions and roles, and the reporting. Virtualizing all of those things is really important, but what we find has been really critical to the customers we talk to is making it really seamless and making sure all of those abstractions work together in a way that doesn't mean any extra complexity or administrative overhead for people to just kind of jump in and get started and use their talent.
Adobe tried this same thing a couple of years ago and finally abandoned it. What is it that makes you feel this is going to be successful?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I actually think what Adobe did there was a really inspired idea. And I suspect, in the fullness of time, they'll probably come around to something similar in the future. I think it's really compelling for folks to be able to use their software just about anywhere. Adobe, of course, has been an incredible pioneer in the application of cloud to make it super simple for people to, get at their software just, from anywhere. So I think that's been a great inspiration, and I think we're kind of building on that and trying to kind of invent the future for what that means for visual effects.
Thinking of visual effects, are your products used more in film or more in games?
Well, our products are actually used across all kinds of entertainment. We're especially popular in visual effects But we have software called Modo, which is very heavily used in games for production of 3D assets. We also have lots of products for design. We have a product called Colorway, which is a fantastic software for designing different variations of products that end up in the consumer market. We also have a storyboarding tool called Mischief, which is really great for kind of roughing out stories and before it goes into the sort of heavy-duty visual effects side of things. So we have products a little bit across the spectrum of not only industries, but across the production pipeline.
Matthew, you've been in the effects industry for more than 20 years. What do you see when you go to the movies?
It's a great question. I love, obviously, playing video games, going to movies, and I'm just fascinated with how what we see on the screen inspires our imagination. Ever since I was 7 years old, I just wanted to make video games for a living. Now, having been in the industry for a long time, of course, you look at things very differently. So sometimes you notice the flaws and you notice the things that could be done better. But sometimes you just get really impressed by how far the technology's been pushed and just how impressive it is that you can show something so big and so awe-inspiring that wasn't possible only a year ago. So a little bit of seeing how the sausage is made, but still very much enjoying sausages and how they get better every year.
A brilliant analogy. Matthew, where can we go on the web to learn more about Foundry and your new product, Athera?
Athera.io, that's Athera. It's got all the information for getting started and all about what it does.
That website is Athera.io, not .com, Athera.io, and Matt Mazerolle is the Senior Product Manager for Foundry. Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Larry. It's been a great pleasure.
Vijay Char is the president of Promise Technology USA. He's a seasoned technology executive with deep expertise in storage, computer, electromechanical systems, and peripherals. Vijay has been with Promise Technology for more than 10 years and was named president of its U.S. operations in early 2016. Welcome, Vijay.
Hi, very glad to be in your show, Larry.
We are glad to be chatting with you. It's been a while since we've talked with the folks at Promise, so to get started, how would you describe Promise Technology?
Promise has been in the business, storage business, for about 30 years now, and we address large segments needing storage. Over the years, we have evolved as the markets and the needs have evolved. So we're one of the oldest companies around in this business. We cater to consumers with attractive storage solutions for the home, as well as prosumers, small studios, small home office, small business, as well as enterprise mid-range IT departments. We cater to all of these across a variety of markets. We are very strong and well-known in media and entertainment. We have a thriving surveillance business around the world. We're a global company. We are known in the IT business as well, small business IT, as well as mid-range enterprise. And then we also address data center cloud markets, and finally the IoT market, Internet of Things, with our personal cloud storage. This is all with the Promise brand name, but aside from that, we also have a strong business with OEMs, large OEMs who purchase a product and put their brand on them and sell them through their channels.
Let's focus on media entertainment, because otherwise this becomes just too big to get our arms around. And within the media entertainment space, there's lots of strong storage companies. I think of G Technology and OWC Seagate, just to name a few. Why would someone consider Promise Technology?
I admit we have not marketed a brand as well as some of the others. We have been essentially an engineering company, and quite often we cater to some of the others who rebrand our products. The Promise brand, since we started working with Apple about 10 years ago, has become more well-known in the media and entertainment space. Our V-Track line of storage arrays was very well-known in that space, catering to the Exxon installs. And Promise developed a very high reputation for quality and support, as well as well-engineered, affordable products. The Promise brand name since then has also gone into the prosumer space with Thunderbolt solutions. We have been the first to bring Thunderbolt storage, RAID storage into the market. our solutions have proven themselves to be very attractive, reliable, and we're a company that you can depend on. We're not going to go away.
I know that Promise was at NAB. What did you announce?
At NAB 2018, we announced a couple of new solutions and gave a glimpse into some of the future solutions that we've been working on. So one of the biggest things that we announced for the first time for the smaller class of users, smaller shared work groups, we announced storage for those kinds of small teams, 4 to 8 clients, some needing high performance, some needing more general connectivity. So we announced Atlas, the series, with 2 solutions, S8 Plus, which is a desktop 8-bay NAS solution that has Thunderbolt connectivity as well as 10 gig connectivity, and of course 1 gig, and a rack mount version of the same. So with the 12 bays, we believe both of those were very well received, overwhelming response. Our customers were so enthusiastic that we had gone beyond the direct attached storage that they were familiar with as a Pegasus line. So that the Atlas was one major announcement. The other one was, besides doing storage, Promise is also known in the Thunderbolt space for connectivity products from Thunderbolt to Fibre Channel or Ethernet. And we announced the SandLink 3 N1, which is a pocket-sized dongle, I should say, that's bus powered for people with laptops that want to connect to 10 gig networks. This is N-based solution, so it would let you connect at higher speeds even on existing networks. We were very happy to announce those 2 new solutions.
One of the trends at NAB is the idea of applying artificial intelligence to media which is stored. What are your thoughts on this trend?
It's definitely something that we would like to participate in, and it increases the value of the storage. We are absolutely looking to partner with the right technologies and the technology providers to augment the value we bring to our customers. We are working with media asset management companies that do some of this, and our customers should see some of these brought to market in our solutions soon. But it's definitely something that would completely enhance the value storage here.
Many of your products revolve around spinning media. Where does flash and other storage technology fit in?
Yes, we had introduced flash into our flash-based arrays in our solutions a couple of NABs ago. And what we did find was there was a lot of price sensitivity. So people love the idea of the speed that they can get with flash in their systems. But again, they did not seem willing to pay. The costs have come down since then. We are today actually shipping systems with flash in our high-end arrays as well as in our desktop arrays, although we might not stock them and sell them through distribution channels. We have a restore that people can configure solutions with all flash or a mixture of spinning media and flash to get the right combination of capacity and performance and cost that they want. We showcased at NAB our technology showing how we leverage very fast NVMe SSDs. And so we announced our NVMe over Fabrics appliances that take advantage of the super high speeds that are available with these devices. With a few devices, you can really saturate 100 gig bus. And so we have appliances in the works that we showcased, but we will actually launch in probably a quarter.
How fast are they?
So you could get 40 gigabytes per second aggregate throughput with up to like 24 devices. And we have solutions that give you high availability options as well. And these come with not just high bandwidth, but very low latencies. And you get like 8 million IOs per second aggregate that can be shared by a variety of clients, all tying into the same small 2U24 appliance.
Wow.
It's immense speeds and immense capability. And of course, there's a cost that goes with those, but we hope the prices will come down soon and make this accessible to even the small to medium users who can then leverage that kind of speed.
Amazing technology to look forward to. For people that want more information about the products that Promise offers, where can they go on the web?
So Promise is at www.promise.com.
That website is a single word, Promise, promise.com. And Vijay Char is the president of Promise Technology USA. Vijay, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Larry, and thank you for your audience as well for their attention.
I want to introduce you to a new website, Thalo.com. Thalo is an artist community and networking site for creative people to connect, be inspired, and showcase their creativity. Thalo.com features content from around the world with a global perspective on all things creative. Thalo is the place for creative folks to learn, collaborate, market, and sell their works. Thalo is a part of Thalo Arts, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with the resources you need to succeed. Visit Thalo.com and discover how their community can help you connect, learn, and succeed. That's Thalo.com. As the VP of Marketing for BackBlaze, Ahin Thomas brings a great blend of consumer and business marketing. He also has a deep understanding for digital marketing, demand generation, and e-commerce. Hello, Ahin. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Excited to be on the show.
How would you describe what BackBlaze is?
BackBlaze is astonishingly easy, affordable cloud storage. We offer two underlying products: computer backup. For $50 a year per computer, we back up unlimited amounts of data off of your computer. Industry leader in the space, that product has been in market for 11 years. It's fantastic. 2 years ago, we offered up B2 cloud storage. And if you're familiar with cloud storage and Amazon S3, B2 competes directly with Amazon's S3. The biggest differentiation between BackBlaze B2 and Amazon S3 is BackBlaze is 1/4 of the price of Amazon S3.
Why was BackBlaze even started? What was the inciting moment to get it founded?
This is one of my favorite stories. It's one of those classic startups, and that is one of our founders. We have 5, but our founding CTO is Brian Wilson. And one day, a friend of his was having a problem with her computer, and it basically blew up on her. She went to Brian and said, "Hey, can you help me recover my data?" And Brian said, "Sure. What are you using for backup?" And she said, "What's backup?" And 11 years later, we still meet customers every day that ask the same question. But Brian went to work coding the client, brought in the other 4 founders, all of whom had worked at previous companies together. They went without salaries for 2 years to build the company in a sustainable, profitable way. To date, we've taken in $5.3 million total. We run a profitable business, and it's growing at a very rapid clip.
I am a huge fan of BackBlaze and have a great deal of difficulty trusting my data to it. I mean, it's a cloud-based product, and many people, including me, are not confident about storing our files in the cloud. How do you put our minds at ease that our files that are stored in the cloud on BackBlaze are safe?
Well, after a few minutes of making fun of you and your Luddite friends, I would get into some of the key differentiations. And that is, let's first talk about security. You know, when you use a scaled cloud storage service like BackBlaze, it is less likely that we will lose a file than the planet Earth will be destroyed by asteroids. And that's according to NASA. So your data is fundamentally secure, whereas Brian's friend and all the on-premise environments are subject to things much more common than asteroid destruction, like coffee spills. So your files are safe.
Hang on, let's just back up. I have no objection to being a Luddite. I think this is my data. I want to make sure it's safe. But how do you define safe?
I define it as reliably knowing that your files are going to be there when you want them. I define it as secure protection against unauthorized intruders.
Wouldn't you accept that banks and credit card companies and people like Experian would also have the same goal of security, yet they are regularly and publicly hacked?
Well, let's talk about those hacks. And let's talk about the not that distant past Target breach of credit card data. While everyone has goals, it depends what your plan is. And invariably, we got to define the term hack. Systems are very rarely breached unless and the cases that have happened, I'd argue, are pretty much gross negligence. Where data is hacked is when account credentials are stolen. And in the examples you use, with the exception of one, account credentials were stolen. And having your account credentials stolen or guessed is a very bad thing. But if your password is "I love kitty cats," I have a feeling the front door to your office is also unlocked. So I think these are very real and serious issues. And let me talk to you about that. And that actually is a huge security differentiation with BackBlaze. And let me be clear, as with most of my competitors, our accounts can be secured with two-factor authentication, not just email and password, but a second factor using an authentication app or SMS or a bunch of other options. Our accounts allow you to place your own encryption key on top of our encryption, which contrasts that with on-premise solutions where some places lock the front door, some places have a receptionist. But can we really rely on those areas of failure being secure 24 hours, 7 days a week? And the answer for all practical purposes on physical location is no. So that's why I would argue that you are safe and secure using a scaled cloud storage service. Now again, there's a second dimension here, which is what vendors should you choose? What vendors would qualify under these scaled services? And I would advocate that BackBlaze is one of those, but I think that's the next conversation.
Just to confirm something that you said, are you by default encrypting the files that we store up on your service?
Yes, BackBlaze encrypts files during transfer and at rest, and that's to prevent any access. In addition, our services allow the individual users to add their own encryption on top of that.
You've talked about two different products, a consumer product and a business product. How do I determine what level of storage I need? And let's look at this in two ways. One, let's look at it from a consumer point of view. But our principal audience is filmmakers, and I want to concentrate on what you have that would be of interest to them as well.
Actually, I would twist it a little bit and define the two products. So our computer backup product, which is we back up all the data on any machine, is sold to consumers and businesses. So for let's use a post-production professional. She's got, valuable data, valuable documents, basically non-work product, from the strictest video set on her desktop in files that are completely disorganized and all over the place, but on her computer. All of that data needs to be backed up and secured for when the coffee spills. That's why you would use our computer backup product. Something that differentiates our computer backup product from the market, besides our price point of $50 per year, is that unlimited data idea, which is we back up all of your files, full stop.
Is this automated? Is it similar to Time Machine, except it's being backed up to your servers rather than Apple's?
It is automated, so it is similar to Time Machine in that manner. Our product is written natively for Mac and a PC, which makes it extremely reliable. Candidly, it doesn't crash. It runs in the background. Candidly, you won't notice it's running. And it by default backs up everything you got, all of your consumer data.
Okay, so that's product one. What's product two?
B2 Cloud Storage. And again, so let's look at the same post-production professional. In her workflows, her active project, she's using tier 1 storage. That's probably a SAN or a NAS. We're sitting right next to her, right? It's got to be super fast. She's working in real time. But then she needs a fallover place where she's archiving her projects, saving down the dailies, it's very expensive to keep that on her local, very fast storage. That's when she should look at the cloud, and specifically B2 cloud storage. At half a penny per gigabyte per month, again, a quarter of the price of S3. It is instantly available. There's no access delays or anything like that. And there are no hidden retrieval fees. Normally, on the more affordable end of the market, you are taxed simply to access your data. That is not true in the BackBlaze case. There are only two prices. Again, the storage price, half a penny per gig per month. There are no tiers or fine print there. And on downloads, we charge 1 penny per gigabyte. To contrast that, let's contrast that to Amazon S3. They start at 9 pennies per gigabyte. So hopefully the story that's coming together on BackBlaze is a cloud that is usable for the media and entertainment profession.
Okay, well, let me push back a little bit.
Please do.
In my office, I've got about 100 terabytes of data, which works out to 100,000 gigabytes. But it looks like it would cost me about $6,000 per year to store that kind of data up to BackBlaze, which is the cost of 2 servers. Why should I consider BackBlaze?
I think that's a great question. You got that math right. Another way to look at it is $5 per terabyte per month. So in a scenario where you have 100 terabytes, why should you consider BackBlaze? One, getting your data off-site. In LA, we got earthquakes, we got floods, we got fires. What happens if your physical site goes down? You need that insurance. You need to have your data. So that demands that you have a plan of getting your data off-site. Why BackBlaze? A very affordable scaled service that can also be accessed anywhere in the world. When you need to collaborate with other users, other project members, how does that data flow? With BackBlaze, there's an answer.
The problem that I have is that my upload speed is about 1 megabit a second. And if I tried to even upload a gigabyte, I'm talking 8 hours. How do I deal with the fact I've got massive amounts of files and a very, very slow internet connection?
Use the Fireball. So it's a 70 terabyte NAS box. We send it to you. You're renting it from us at $550 for 30 days. You send it back, so you can upload all your data. And in your case, it'll take 2 trips, but that's fine. And then we upload it securely inside our data center to your account.
I could go on and on with this. I love this conversation, but I also know that you guys announced 4 new products at NAB, and I want to make sure to get those in. So what did you announce that's new?
Let me walk you through the 4 announcements and try to tie them back to the M&E professional. First, we cut our download price from 2 pennies per gigabyte to 1 penny. We talked about that previously. That's all about usage, right? And when Amazon is pricing downloading your data at 9 cents and BackBlaze is pricing it at 1 cent, so that's one, making the cloud usable to you. The next thing we did is we introduced what we call the B2 snapshot refund. As we've gained traction in the media entertainment vertical, we're loving the customers and the feedback we're getting. One thing we saw is that dailies and projects are sent out couriered via USB sticks, right? And we've all had that experience. Spiky-haired, nose ring person on a bicycle, who I got nothing against. I'm just a little nervous handing over a USB stick and hoping they make it across town. So with BackBlaze data you store inside the B2 cloud, you can have us securely transfer projects to a thumb drive, FedEx it anywhere in the world, and if that thumb drive is returned to us, we refund the fee. The B2 snapshot return program, the 1 penny downloads, helping you use your data. The third announcement was the B2 Fireball. And that is a service that is used for people that are having challenges simply migrating to the cloud. With your 100 terabytes, when you choose to use B2, the next problem you're going to face is the bandwidth in your office. How are you going to get that 100 terabytes securely, reliably uploaded so then you can really use it? Well, that was the question Austin City Limits asked with their 42 years of concert footage, 43 years now. And we solve it with the Fireball. We send you a hardware appliance. You transfer your data directly and securely inside your own office. You send that appliance back to us inside of our secure data center. Your data is uploaded to your account. Better download pricing, refunds on thumb drives, secure, rapid uploads. The fourth big announcement in the run-up to NAB was we announced partnerships with compute players, Packet and Server Central. Now data stored inside of V2 can be transferred at zero cost to either Packet or Server Central for your computing needs. Why is that important? Well, both Packet and Server Central offer computing that's approximately half the price of the equivalent of EC2. For the media and entertainment professional, she's looking at it saying, okay, well, I know V2 is a usable cloud where I can download my data. I know I can get my data up, but what happens when I need to create proxies? What happens when I need to transcode? I don't want to pull it down, do it locally, and push it back up. Now you don't have to. We've directly connected our services for extremely low latency, which means transfers between V2 and the compute providers are near instant. The pricing is more affordable and on demand than anything you're going to get on your own. And you can do your workloads seamlessly and return them to the cloud for secure, reliable storage. Trying to make it all usable for the M&E professional.
For people that need more information, where can they go on the web to learn more?
www.backblaze.com.
That's all one word, BACKBLAZE, backblaze.com. And Ahin Thomas is the VP of Marketing for BackBlaze. And Ahin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You know, I was just thinking, I had to smile when Ahin Thomas called me a Luddite. The term dates from the early 1800s and refers to a group of English textile workers who destroyed weaving machinery to protest the use of machinery in a fraudulent and deceitful manner to get around standard labor practices. They were concerned that the machines would cost them their jobs. The word has since evolved to mean someone who's opposed to industrialization, automation, computerization, or new technologies in general. I'm certainly no Luddite. I believe that technology has and will continue to do amazing things for our way of life, and most of these will be good. However, I view all technology through the lens that each of us needs to earn a living. How valuable is technology to society if it forces people out of well-paying jobs or converts those jobs into minimum wage? It seems we're living in the age of unintended consequences, where many Silicon Valley companies think it's a good practice to implement first, ask permission later. We see the consequences of this playing out with Theranos and Uber and Facebook. Tesla, as Elon Musk admitted, went too far into full automation, which has caused them to continue to miss production deadlines. As Mr. Musk said just a month ago, human beings are underrated. Technology is fascinating, and I love learning about it, but even with that enthusiasm, I'm still cautious. I would much prefer that each of us have a high-quality, well-paying job. If technology can enable that, I'm all in favor of it. And if it can't, then it should be ignored. This is also one of the reasons that every interview on The Buzz, since we first began more than 18 years ago, is free. You can't ask hard questions of a company if they're paying for the interview. Learning about technology is fun, but in the end, what's in it for us? Just something I'm thinking about. I want to thank this week's guests, Thomas Burns with Dell, Matt Mazerolle with Foundry, Vijay Char with Promise Technology USA, Ahin Thomas with BackBlaze, and James DeRuvo with doddleNEWS. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online, and all available to you today. And remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter that comes out every Saturday morning. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner, with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Our producer is Debbie Price. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to the Digital Production Buzz. A Digital Production Buzz is copyright 2018 by Thalo LLC.